Hi, everybody. My name is David Pipe. I'm a local mortgage agent here in Guelph, and I'm with my co host, Rob Kent, a local realtor also from Guelph. And today we want to talk with you about some of the reasons why maybe you shouldn't buy a house right now. It's funny to say that a lot of us are, as realtors and mortgage agents, thinking about reasons why people should buy. And often that's true, but the truth is that there are some situations where it just makes more sense to rent. So, with that in mind, let's go through a couple of things. Number one, why do you need to know this? Why is it important for you to understand, why now is not the right time to buy? The truth is that a real estate transaction is really expensive. There's a lot of costs, time investment, money, of course, money investment. And, it may not make sense for everybody to move all the time, even though it can seem like really exciting. So, it's good to know that you can take your time, find the right house for you. And while maybe buying for you is right in the future, maybe now is not the right time. And let's talk through some of those reasons why. So the first one is your housing plans are short term. So what we mean by that is you are in a temporary situation, you know you may need to move soon. So let's say it's related to your family or your schooling. You're in a town away from your hometown for school and you plan to move in 3 years or something like that. In that case, perhaps buying may not make sense. Or if you know you may get relocated, in that case, buying may not make sense because of the, like I said, the additional cost to do that. So in that case, renting might make more sense for you because that flexibility of having either a short-term lease or a temporary arrangement might just make a lot more sense as far as, giving you the flexibility to move when you might need to. So with that in mind, Rob, why don't you take us through the next one?
Yep. So you just mentioned flexibility. So your situation requires flexibility. So I mean that could be various things. It could be maybe you like to travel, right? And if you're renting, you have probably much more flexibility in traveling than you would if you were living at home. Maybe with a family, and again, family could come into the flexibility. Work, maybe your work has you traveling all the time, or maybe you're on contract and you're moving from contract to contract, and you need that flexibility, and you just might not know what's going to happen next, right? So it's always you have that flexibility. So David, what would be another reason then?
Yeah, exactly right, Rob. I mean, sometimes the flexibility is just a matter of I don't want to be able to be at home all the time. I want to be able to go where I want, so it makes sense. But yeah, number three, all the sunk costs. So there's a lot of parts of owning a property that are investments, and you'll make money back on that. The property grows in value, and as you pay down your mortgage, those are all good things. But there are costs that you don't get back. So things like property taxes or condo fees, maintenance costs in some case, like repairs that you won't see the value grow. If you're finding that all those costs adding up just don't make sense for you and you're not making enough of an investment in the property and you're not enjoying doing those things, not to mention the transaction costs of moving, legal, commissions, all the other things go along with it, closing costs, it may not make sense for you. So in the cases where you don't want all those costs and you just rather just pay to live in the place that you enjoy, then, renting might make more sense for you. Rob, what about the next one?
Yeah. So the location maybe doesn't fit for you today. Maybe you're getting ready for retirement. You're currently working. Maybe you're retiring in the next 4 or 5 years. Maybe it just doesn't make sense to make a move prior to that retirement move. And maybe it just makes more sense to think about where you want to be in 4 or 5 years, and the city as well. Like what city would you want to live in? Maybe the city just doesn't make sense, and the neighborhood as well. So it just comes down to the location. If it doesn't fit, then it just doesn't make sense to make a move. What would be the next reason, David?
Well, we talked about renting earlier, but what happens if you just have a great deal on rent? So maybe you pay a really low rent because you've been there for a long time, or maybe you have a great landlord who, has set a price in place that really fits with your budget. If your rent cost is low, then maybe it doesn't make sense to buy because of the cost of housing in the area that you live. So if you're happy with your rent costs and you're able to invest for your future somewhere else, maybe putting away money in your RSP or saving for your kids, there's no reason why you necessarily have to buy a house if you're really satisfied with the cost that you have and you feel like you're able to save for yourself and save for your future as it is. So if you have a great deal on rent, then maybe it doesn't make sense to buy. Rob?
Yeah. Yeah, impulse decision. So, I mean, we saw a lot of this. Me as a realtor, and I've seen a lot of this over the last 2.5, 3 years of COVID. Where people are just, they're looking on the internet, and they're making those impulse decisions, those impulse buys, and that was one of the reasons that kind of drove up, the prices and stuff. It's you see somebody doing something, and it's like you feel like you have to do the same thing. If somebody buys a house, it's like, okay, I gotta buy a house. Your friend buys a house, family member buys a house, okay, maybe I should buy a house, or upgrade or downgrade, when maybe it is, it's more of an impulse decision than a planning decision. So David, what would be the seventh reason?
Yeah, so that's a great point about impulse, right? Because sometimes it seems like a good idea at the time, but it doesn't work out. So the seventh one is it's a conflict with your lifestyle. So this is sort of about being honest with yourself about the kinds of things that you and your spouse, if you're together with somebody or your family, what you enjoy. So if the place you're looking, the house you're looking at, or the neighborhood, the town, it's not at all in connection with the kinds of things you like to do. So for example, you are a city person and you love, the walkability, and you love having quick access to get to all the things you want, and you don't want to have a car. And then you find this beautiful country property and it seems to check all the boxes. And, you think to yourself, I'm going to, have a chicken coop, and I'm going to do whatever, and these things might seem like great ideas, but what happens if it really is a conflict with the way you do like to live your life, and you find yourself traveling into the city every night anyways, because that's where all your family or your friends are. So, if your lifestyle is a certain way and it's not going in a direction that takes you out of the area that you already are, then it may not make sense to purchase and cause such a drastic change to your lifestyle, because in the long run you may end up being unhappy with it, or even worse, you might end up having to move and maybe not make money or sell that property for less. So if it's in conflict with your lifestyle, then be honest with yourself and wait until you find a place that fits you. But Rob, what about the last one?
Yeah. So, I mean, with the lifestyle, it kind of ties into financial uncertainty as well, right? Maybe, you've just been temporarily employed, or, you've kind of jumped from job to job, or you're on contract job. And the financial uncertainty just isn't there. Maybe it just doesn't make sense to buy a home during that time. Jobs, like job stability, maybe you have a family, and maybe your wife is on leave, on mat leave or something like that, which can certainly adjust your financial uncertainty. So, I mean, these are the things that you want to plan out before you purchase a home, or a growing family as well. So where do you go from here? So here's our contact information below. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, or even if you have something that you'd like for us to discuss on a video like this. We hope to hear from you soon.
Thanks.
Thanks.